Jack loved visiting his grandpa's house. It was a quaint little cottage on the outskirts of town, surrounded by a vast, lush garden. The garden was Jack's favorite place. It was a place of wonder, filled with vibrant flowers, towering trees, and a variety of fruits and vegetables. Every summer, Jack spent his holidays at his grandpa's, and each time he visited, the garden seemed even more magical than before. This summer was no different. As soon as school was out, Jack packed his bags and eagerly headed to Grandpa's house. When he arrived, Grandpa was waiting for him at the gate, a warm smile on his weathered face. "Welcome back, Jack," Grandpa said, giving him a big hug. "I've been waiting for you. There's so much to do in the garden." Jack's eyes lit up with excitement. "I can't wait, Grandpa. I'm ready to help." Chapter 1: The Seeds of Adventure. The next morning, after a hearty breakfast, Grandpa took Jack to the garden. They started with a tour, and Grandpa showed Jack the new additions since his last visit. There were new flower beds, a freshly planted vegetable patch, and a small pond with lilies floating on the surface. "I've saved a special task for you, Jack," Grandpa said, handing him a small packet of seeds. "These are sunflower seeds. They're my favorite, and I thought you'd like to plant them." Jack took the seeds with reverence. "I'd love to, Grandpa. Where should we plant them?" Grandpa led Jack to a sunny spot near the fence. "This is the perfect spot. Sunflowers love sunlight, and they'll grow tall and strong here." Together, they prepared the soil, dug small holes, and carefully planted the seeds. Grandpa showed Jack how to space them out properly and cover them with just the right amount of soil. "Now, we water them and wait," Grandpa said, handing Jack a watering can. "Gardening requires patience, but it's worth it." As they worked, Grandpa shared stories about his own childhood and how he had learned to garden from his father. Jack listened intently, fascinated by the tales of perseverance and the joy of watching something grow from a tiny seed. Chapter 2: Tending the Garden. Over the next few weeks, Jack and Grandpa spent their days tending to the garden. They watered the plants, pulled weeds, and watched eagerly for the first signs of growth. Every morning, Jack would rush out to check on the sunflower seeds, hoping to see a tiny sprout peeking through the soil. One morning, his patience was rewarded. "Grandpa, come quick. They're growing," Jack shouted excitedly. Grandpa hurried over and smiled as he saw the tiny green shoots. "Well done, Jack. They're off to a good start. Now we just have to keep taking care of them." As the days passed, the sunflowers grew taller and taller. Jack marveled at how quickly they stretched towards the sky. He learned how to stake the plants to keep them upright and how to protect them from pests. One day, as they were working in the garden, a butterfly fluttered by and landed on one of the sunflowers. Jack watched in awe as the butterfly delicately sipped nectar from the bright yellow petals. "See, Jack. The garden is full of life," Grandpa said. "It's not just about the plants. It's about all the creatures that visit and make it their home." Jack nodded, feeling a deep sense of connection to the garden and the natural world. He realized that every plant and creature had its place and that they were all part of a larger, intricate web of life. Chapter 3: Lessons from the Garden. As the summer progressed, Jack continued to learn valuable lessons from the garden. He learned about the importance of hard work and dedication, as he and Grandpa spent long hours tending to the plants. He discovered the joy of nurturing something and watching it grow, and he developed a deep appreciation for the beauty and complexity of nature. One afternoon, as they were harvesting vegetables, Jack asked, "Grandpa, why do you love gardening so much?" Grandpa paused, a thoughtful expression on his face. "Gardening teaches us many things, Jack. It teaches us patience, because we can't rush nature. It teaches us resilience, because sometimes things don't go as planned, and we have to adapt. And it teaches us gratitude, because we learn to appreciate the small miracles that happen every day." Jack pondered his grandpa's words as they worked. He realized that gardening was not just a hobby for Grandpa, it was a way of life, a philosophy that shaped how he saw the world. That evening, as they sat on the porch enjoying the cool breeze, Grandpa handed Jack a journal. "I want you to write down what you've learned in the garden, Jack. It's important to remember these lessons." Jack nodded, feeling honored by the responsibility. He spent the next few nights writing in the journal, documenting his experiences and the wisdom Grandpa had shared with him. Chapter 4: A Garden in Bloom. As summer turned to autumn, the garden reached its peak. The sunflowers stood tall and proud, their golden heads swaying gently in the breeze. The vegetable patch was a riot of colors, with tomatoes, peppers, and beans ready for harvest. Jack and Grandpa worked tirelessly to gather the fruits of their labor. They filled baskets with fresh produce and shared it with their neighbors, spreading the joy and bounty of the garden. One day, as they were picking tomatoes, Grandpa looked at Jack and said, "I'm proud of you, Jack. You've worked hard and learned so much. The garden has flourished under your care." Jack beamed with pride. "Thank you, Grandpa. I couldn't have done it without you." As they continued to harvest, Jack noticed a section of the garden that had been left untouched. "Grandpa, what about that area? Shouldn't we plant something there?" Grandpa smiled mysteriously. "That, my boy, is for you to decide. It's your space to create and experiment. Plant whatever you like, and see what happens." Excited by the prospect, Jack spent the next few days planning and designing his own section of the garden. He chose a variety of flowers, herbs, and vegetables, eager to see how they would grow together. With Grandpa's guidance, Jack planted his chosen seeds and nurtured them with care. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction as he watched his own little garden come to life, a testament to everything he had learned over the summer. Chapter 5: The Circle of Life. As the days grew shorter and the leaves began to change color, Jack knew that his time at Grandpa's house was coming to an end. He felt a pang of sadness at the thought of leaving the garden, but he also felt a sense of fulfillment and gratitude for the experiences he had gained. One crisp autumn morning, as they were raking leaves, Grandpa said, "The garden is always changing, Jack. Just as the seasons change, so does the garden. It's a reminder that life is a cycle, and every ending is a new beginning." Jack nodded, understanding the deeper meaning of his grandpa's words. He realized that the lessons he had learned in the garden would stay with him, guiding him through life's challenges and changes. On the last day of his visit, Jack and Grandpa took one final walk through the garden. They admired the tall sunflowers, the bountiful vegetable patch, and Jack's own little garden, now flourishing with vibrant life. "Remember, Jack, the garden will always be here for you," Grandpa said, giving him a hug. "And so will I." Jack hugged his grandpa tightly, feeling a sense of warmth and love. "I'll never forget, Grandpa. Thank you for everything." As Jack boarded the bus to return home, he looked back at Grandpa's house and the garden that had become a second home to him. He knew that he would carry the lessons and memories of that summer with him forever. Epilogue: A New Beginning. Years passed, and Jack grew older, but his love for gardening never waned. He continued to visit Grandpa's house every summer, each time bringing new ideas and enthusiasm to the garden. Eventually, Jack started his own garden at home, inspired by the lessons he had learned from Grandpa. He taught his friends and neighbors the joys of gardening, sharing the wisdom and knowledge that had been passed down to him. One sunny afternoon, as Jack was working in his garden, he heard a familiar voice behind him. "You've done a wonderful job, Jack." He turned to see Grandpa, now older but still full of life, standing at the gate. Jack smiled and walked over to him, giving him a warm hug. "Thank you, Grandpa. I couldn't have done it without you," Jack said, his voice filled with gratitude. Grandpa looked around the garden, his eyes twinkling with pride. "You've created something beautiful, Jack. And you've passed on the lessons you've learned. That's the true legacy of a gardener." As they stood together in the garden, Jack felt a deep sense of connection to the past, present, and future. He realized that the garden was not just a place of growth and beauty, but a symbol of the enduring bond between generations and the power of nature to teach and inspire. And so, the story of Grandpa's garden continued, a testament to the love, wisdom, and resilience that can be found in the simple act of planting a seed and watching it grow.